President Trump slapped a new round of tariffs on Chinese goods Friday. His earlier tariffs on steel and aluminum from countries that are friends and allies have shaken up international relationships, and now they're having real-world consequences in Wisconsin. A West Bend manufacturer uses aluminum from Canada. Put it this way: real families are being crushed by these tariffs. Trump cited national security when he opposed the tariffs on steel and aluminum, but some senators are pushing back, including Wisconsin's Ron Johnson. They have a bill that would require the president to submit certain tariffs to the House and Senate for approval. We're talking more about all of this today with Republican Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, always good to have you on the program.
Hello, Mike.
So let's talk some about tariffs, which we talked about, I think, the last time you were on this program. How concerned are you about where we are right now, that this could lead to a trade war with profound implications for this state and the economy?
I'm very concerned. We've seen the saber rattling. Now we've actually had the opening shots of a trade war, and nobody can predict where it ends. So I'm highly concerned. The bill you're talking about would just reclaim a congressional constitutional authority, which had been given away to every president. Now, listen, you can't have 535 members of Congress trying to negotiate a trade deal. You need the chief executive to do that, but it should be in complete consultation with Congress. And then in the end, you should bring those trade deals back to Congress for ratification as treaties. That's the way the system should work. We've granted, like so much other congressional authority to the executive. It's time we start bringing that back.
The Speaker Ryan said, really, what's the point of the legislation? The president has to sign it. What is the point of the legislation?
Well,
is it symbolic?
I'm hoping to put pressure on the Trump administration to, okay, fine, use this as negotiating leverage, but conclude the deals. There's a lot of micro damage being done while all this uncertainty is being created. And again, I think the Trump administration has done such a great job. Stopped adding to the regulatory burden, signed into law a competitive tax system for our businesses. That brought certainty, optimism. That's one of the reasons our economy is doing better. The whole trade issue is creating uncertainty and could really be counterproductive for all the good things that he's done prior to that.
Yeah, real briefly, Gary Cohn, the former economic advisor to the president, I think, said this past week, he worries that a trade war, that's the beginning of an economic slowdown. You share that view?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that is the risk. And so again, if the president believes he needs these tariffs as a negotiating strategy, fine, but conclude those negotiations and let's do the deals.
Let's talk a little bit about the Inspector General's report that was looking into how the FBI handled the investigation of Hillary Clinton's secret email server. The conclusion, and a lot of people have different takeaways from this, but one of the conclusions is that they did not think that political bias affected specific actions in the investigation. Are you satisfied with what you've seen in the Inspector General's report?
First of all, it's going to give me a lot of information in my own 3-year investigation under the Hillary Clinton email scandal, and then the FBI's investigation of it. And so I really appreciate the work that Michael Horowitz has done here. But really, the only thing he concluded is that he did not have documentary or testimonial evidence that would prove conclusively the bias affected the judgment. But he certainly gives us a treasure trove of information. For example, 39 top FBI senior officials were made aware on September 28th that Hillary Clinton emails were on Anthony Weiner's computer, and they did nothing for weeks. And
that delay of concern.
And the 4 explanations various officials gave for not doing anything on it, the Inspector General said was just not plausible. Those were just simply not plausible explanations. So the report really is giving the information for the public to draw its own conclusions. I concluded a long time ago that the email scandal, the investigation of it was not meant to uncover the truth and lead to prosecution, but it was really meant to cover up and lead to exoneration. I haven't changed my opinion of it.
Speaking of exoneration, on Friday, the president said that report, the report that was issued yesterday, exonerates him in the Mueller investigation. Do you read it that way?
I'm not exactly sure what he's referring to. Again, it gives us an awful lot of information. And it certainly does show that James Comey fully deserved to be fired. I mean, his insubordination, his go-it-alone attitude on this, unacceptable, and of course it really shows dramatic and gross bias within the FBI, which needs to be fixed. I mean, I am doing my investigation. I'm demanding answers to my questions, which I think are the questions of the American public. I'm not going to rest until those questions are answered, and literally we restore the integrity and credibility of the Department of Justice and FBI. That's the whole purpose of my congressional oversight. Senator
Johnson is also the chair of the Homeland Security Committee. We should mention, we'll take a break right now. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the Singapore summit. What happened between the U.S. and North Korea? That's coming up next.